Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. It's been a long weekend. Got my workout in today. It was leg day. Didn't go as hard as I did last time because just never know what the week is gonna bring. Today, I am covering two recent books that I have read. I don't know if this is actually going to be a mirror image or if it's going to correct itself when it goes to... So, the first book, Nobody is Coming to Save You, A Green Beret's Guide to Getting Big Feces Done. You can see for yourself what... I don't know if YouTube has an issue with that. And Al-Qaeda 2.0, the upcoming attacks on the United States, Europe, and Europe Unveiled. Why am I covering both of these in the same review? Well, because Scott Mann, the guy who wrote Nobody is Coming to Save You, is a frequent or a reoccurring guest on the Sean Ryan podcast. He wrote this book, and also with the Sean Ryan podcast, Al-Qaeda 2.0 was mentioned by Sarah Adams, also known as Superbad. So I picked this one up, I think just before the attack on New Year's Day. Not necessarily the one at Trump Tower, but the other one in New Orleans. The one that kind of fits what these guys are planning. So the first one I'm going to start with is Nobody's Coming to Save You. I picked this up because doing some research on another story for a book that I did last year. I'm pretty sure it was last year. Scott Mann was one of the sources, one of the people I kept coming across while researching the story. He was one of the guys that was involved in Operation Pineapple Express, where retired and active Green Beret Special Forces Delta, these guys got together, went over to Afghanistan when we were pulling out. What a mess. Because our government was not helping the people who helped us for 20 years. The people that were going to be hunted down and deleted by the Taliban. So these guys got together. They used their own money. They used their own resources. They got their own planes together. They worked with active duty in order to make sure that the people that were getting on these planes that were not vetted were actually vetted, and people that deserved to be on the planes. So he wrote this other book. And what I have to say about this one is that it's really a plea from Scott Mann to people who served or people who are going through very similar circumstances of having thoughts of self-harm. He continually talks about something that he calls the churn, which is that feeling of things are not right, they'll never be right. There's one solution to get out of this situation. He boils it down to stress, to previous experiences, traumatic brain injury, like everything boiled together, how our society operates. And he gives a lot of hints as to what to do about it. And I think the best message that he has from this is the fact that we as a society need to stop looking at government and especially nonprofits as the solution to all of our problems. And that from a bottom-up perspective, we need to start taking care of stuff on our own, tell everybody else on the higher-up plane to F off, and start to take care of things. We saw this recently with a press conference that had to do with California and the fires that just took place. And a certain person from an Oval Office showed up and said, hey, we've got a huge problem with FEMA because you guys roll in, you don't do shit, it's a bureaucracy. You have these 9 to 5 hours of operation helping people who are dealing with stuff 24/7. You don't release money. Insurance companies don't even exist there anymore because the companies were like, hey, look, if we're going to insure these houses, like, your infrastructure really needs to be adequate enough to, I don't know, put out a fire. Then we can insure houses. I don't know how these people are buying houses if they have a mortgage and they don't have homeowners insurance. At least where I live, that's mandatory. It's part of the mortgage. Like, do you have homeowners insurance? And you have to keep it. Like, if you drop it and it's part of your monthly payment, they'll know and you'll get booted out of your house. So I don't know how that works in California, but apparently nothing works in California and everything gives you cancer. Read any label on anything ever. By the state of California, this has been known to. So yeah, basically I would throw in that the big message is if you are feeling like the churn is grasping onto you and you don't feel like you can handle it anymore, give somebody a call. Because this whole notion of we don't help each other anymore. Nobody calls each other. I've got friends that self-deleted over the years. A lot of the people I looked up to in history have done the same thing. So I think that is really his big message, is become something that you can be proud of, to where that notion in your head of like, I just don't matter anymore, goes away. Highly recommend it. It's not just for military. I would recommend this to anybody else out there if you're looking to motivate yourself to accomplish something and you know nobody's coming to save you. Al-Qaeda 2.0. It's a report. It's very short. It is, to sum it up, you really don't have to read this. I bought it just for the sake of having it on my shelf, and I wanted to see if there's anything I was missing from the Sean Ride podcast. And basically was it the last one or the last two? I'm going to say the last two interviews that he did with Sarah Adams, everything she stated was in here. If you are not up to date, if you don't remember 9/11 and the Patriot Act and renditions, if you aren't familiar with Al-Qaeda, or I don't know what rock you've been living under, good for you. Obviously, mommy and daddy protected you very, very well from reality and life. I hope you know how to balance a checkbook. A lot of the stuff in here is basically, I would say the first half of the book is just getting you acquainted with the history, how it's organized, who, what, where, when of Al-Qaeda, and where they're at today. It brings you up to date. It goes from 1988, when it was started by Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan to fight the Russians, and it goes all the way up to when currently, today, where his son is now the head of this organization, and all the crazy feces they're up to and want to accomplish, which is why New Orleans was a big deal. Because here's the thing, like, yes, the guy had an ISIS flag, current military, he was obviously radicalized. These guys are not looking for credit. They are looking for numbers and death and destruction. So they are willing to work with, they're breaching the Sunni Shia gap. They're working with everyone. They're helping train everyone. As long as you're an enemy of the United States, these guys are helping out, and they're backed by the Taliban. The current leader of Al-Qaeda is married to the current leader of the Taliban. He's also married to the former leader of Al-Qaeda, his daughter. Yeah, they're all intermarrying. They're doing the very traditional thing of like, yes, we have this permanent connection now amongst everyone. So you can go out and you can read this. If you want to save your money and get the same information, go to the Sean Ryan podcast. There's also the video on YouTube. If you don't listen to podcasts, you'll get the same information. But basically everything that Sarah Adams talks about is in this book. So keep your head on a swivel. And yeah, some of the things that they describe in this book that this organization wants to do scares the crap out of me. I'm just going to leave it at that. Keep on typing.